Welcome to the Fine Arts Theater, everyone. I am to transport you to the residence. I am Robby, the robot. Come with me now on this spectacular Flights of Fantasy event and my special behind-the-scenes look at what really happened on the Forbidden Planet, Altair 4. Consider this a riveting TED Talk, and give me a break if I leave anything out, as I drone out this programming for 9 minutes. But before our journey begins, I would like to thank producer-director Arnold Leibovit for all his astounding work over the years in the science fiction and fantasy genre, and for restoring so many cinema classics. And how about those Papa-Toons? Get them while they're hot. Arnold will hook you up. And of course, I'd like to give a special scan out to the robot man himself, Fred Barton, for schlepping me here, and whose tireless efforts have brought so many celebrity robots to life and into people's homes for the past 50 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm often asked at these screenings how a robot makes it in Hollywood. Put it this way, my name used to be Reuben the Ropestein. Just so you know, nothing happened on Altair 4 that I didn't know about. They don't call me the Mr. Belvedere of outer space for nothing. Remember when Cookie asked Doc if I was a male or female? Fact is, I don't use gender fluid. It promotes rust. And for the record, Cookie drank all 60 gallons of that genuine ancient rocket bourbon and died of liver failure on the voyage home. But I digress. Let's talk about the ill-fated Bellerophon expedition. The year was 2224 AD, an election year, as I recall. Trump was in his 52nd term. United Planets sent a prospecting party of scientists to Altair, which is like 100 trillion miles away from the Fine Arts Theater. You know, they didn't take the 405. The ship lands, they set up camp, and after the first day, Morbius, who just couldn't sit still, sneaks off with his new wife, Julia Morrison, who was pregnant, by the way. While on a nature hike with the tiger and the deer, they discovered a cave which had access to the lost civilization of the Krell, which was deep underground with no overnight parking. Young Morbius and his bride got all caught up in the Krell lifestyle with their mid-century architecture and their swinging bebop music. They wanted to stay on the planet as Morbius, a philologist and expert on words and languages, finally had a reason for coming along. He was able to decipher the Krell language and the incredibly complicated Krell recipe for tuna noodle casserole. Needless to say, after several months, the other members of the expedition were totally sick of eating tuna noodle casserole every night, especially since they were out of Malox, so they voted to return to Earth. This angered Morbius, as he and Julia longed to stay on Altair 4, far from the scurry and strife of humankind, whatever the hell that meant. One day, Morbius and the Bellerophon skipper were experimenting with the Krell stereo and put on these crazy headphones, and bam, it proved instantly fatal to the skipper. He exploded, and his body was plastered all over the Krell lab. Cleaning him off the dials proved difficult, even for the Mr. Clean Magic Space Eraser. Undaunted, Morbius the genius decides to try it the next day because Why not? He put on the headphones and manipulated the controls. The lights started blinking, the Eat at Joe's neon tubes flashed, but honestly it was something of a strain on poor Morbius. He looked pretty constipated. Suddenly a 3D image of Nikita Khrushchev appeared in the aquarium, and Morbius instantly set a new record for solving Rubik's Cube. Exhausted, he passed out for a day and a night. He woke up the next morning with a stiff neck and discovered he had doubled his intellectual capacity. Coincidentally, moments after the brain boost, clean-shaven Morbius was instantly sporting a goatee. Even more striking, if that wasn't enough, one by one, in spite of every safeguard, the entire crew of the Bellerophon were torn literally limb from limb. It was like watching Gladiator 2. Only Morbius and Julia were immune, because they smeared lamb's blood over the Krell door. Now, Morbius, equipped with his artificially expanded intellect and a set of bootleg MGM blueprints, had the know-how to tinker me together. Honestly, it was the only cool thing he ever really did. Only now I get to do all the work. I built the house and hung the steel shutters for all the good they did. I even built him a Waffle House on the south side of the planet, complete with flying chairs and synthetic butter. Morbius was always calling me a simple tool and had me install that household disintegrator beam. Then he had this running gag. Robby, put your arm in there. Go on, put your arm in there. After about a month of that, I told him to put his tool in there. Anyway, after I finished painting the house, the happy couple moved in, and Julia gave birth to Altera. Sadly, Julia died soon after of natural causes. I told her not to eat the waffles. Flash forward 20 years, United Planet sends a relief mission to see what happened to the Bellerophon. Morbius calls them up while they're still in orbit with this get-off-my-lawn attitude and warns them off. But Commander Adams refuses to turn the ship around after traveling through space for 378 days. So he lands his wobbly flying saucer back in the desert near the Waffle House. And Morbius always stretched the truth. Remember all those Bellerophon graves he showed the commander? He said he dug them with his own hands. Not true. I did. Morbius just sat around watching Forbidden Planet and eating tuna noodle casserole. And as for Doc, it wasn't the brain boost that killed him, it was the Disney Channel. Morbius also told Farman that the big machine, 8,000 cubic miles of klystron relays, was for mining Krell coin. And then there was Altera, my little blonde surfer girl. What a honey. Honey West, that is. Thing is, she never knew any human being except her father. And she sure loved clothes. She had me making her a new dress 10 times a day. Every one of them was see-through. She must have thought she was going to the Krell Grammys. But puberty struck her hard, and by 18, she had a great set of C-57Ds. Well, I guess that's my time. Long story short, Morbius had an epiphany and realized he murdered all his co-workers and friends and was way behind on the light bill. So what else is there to do besides blow it all up? The Commander and Altera pack and make a beeline out of there. I hitched a ride back to Earth with them. Commander Adams married Altera. But wait till he finds out she's carrying the id monster's baby. Good night, folks. Enjoy the show. Now will someone please give me a lift back to the robot actor's home? I hear it's tuna noodle casserole night.
Say folks, let's hear one more